Welcome back to part two of my episode featuring Kelly Zemnickis. Um, if you didn't hear, in the first episode, we were talking about Kelly's origins in comedy, also as a technician on improv, and we were also talking about her first ever documentary, No Responders Left Behind. And in the second part, we continued that conversation. So enjoy. Anyway, so as I was telling the listeners, this is sort of part two of the interview. So we were talking about no responders left behind and how the response of it kind of, in a way, blew you away in sense of how it came out.
The response to it, the journey it has taken. My friend Rob, who ended up directing the film, and his company decided to take it on and co-produce it with me, and he wrote as well for it. He has told me time and time again that this is not how someone's first doc experience usually goes. um, because it's aired on CNN. In Canada, we have something called the Canadian Screen Awards, which are kind of like a merging of, Oscar and Emmy, and it was nominated for like best social political documentary. And it's screening on Max in the States, and Discovery Plus, and it's just had this amazing journey. And then the organization that we featured, that John started, the Feel Good Foundation, has had an uptick in memberships, and so it's done really good. And I know that I came away from the project realizing that prior to making it, I really didn't think twice about what a first responder might be going through after a crisis. Like, we rely on the firefighter to be there to do the job and rescue and whatever. But we don't really think, I never really thought much about, I wonder how their health is. And I wonder, how they're doing, because it's a job where when we need them, they're on the top of our mind. But when we don't need them, you probably don't think much about your local paramedic, unless you're married to one or a family member or something. So I certainly hope it did something to change people's perception about what those folks go through after we need them. And it's not a film that deals with conspiracy or that's someone else's conversation, and someone else has made a ton of YouTube videos about that. So we're just dealing with the people who went to help and suffered from it. And not to say that in Canada first responders are treated any better. There's giant gaps in our healthcare system here, but yeah, what a crazy way to like start this new chapter of my life, of like, go tell jokes and go make a movie about a lot of people you don't know who are dying. And having experienced a loss weeks before we started filming, I think in some ways being around, strangers that have since become friends who were also grieving, it really helped me connect with them, because I just lost somebody. So yeah, it was kind of wacky. I certainly went through a big life change. So,
And
yeah.
when the idea of it came around, did you think it was going to get like the response that it did?
Oh, no, because I initially thought we were going to make, so there's a web series, the New York Times has a documentary site where like little shorts go up. I thought we were going to make a 5-minute film. It's a 75-minute feature.
Jeez.
So, and it was something that kept revealing itself, because prior to a news clip that a lot of people have seen of Jon Stewart in Congress in I think it was 2019. Time's such a weird thing now. But Jon Stewart being at the US Congress arguing and saying like they did their job, now it's time for you to do yours. Um, Prior to that happening,
Hmm.
we had actually finished the film and had a really good like kind of buddy film between this guy John Feel and Ray Pfeiffer, an FDNY retiree, and Jon Stewart, and we had this kind of like bromance thing done in this like different way.
Hmm.
And then we got word that the money that they had garnered during our filmmaking was starting to run out on one end of it. So they had to go back to the US Senate, and we kind of got this, it's strange to say, but a bit of a gift from the gods of this as filmmakers, documentary filmmakers, this story point that we wouldn't have been able to cobble together in an edit, but that just came to us naturally. And we ended up with a much stronger film. So it was weird how that worked, but it was all of us continually through the whole process of making it, of just being really good listeners, and allowing the story to reveal itself to us. And yeah, so it was an experience, and Jon Stewart ended up being along for the ride with us over the 3 or so years we filmed. So I certainly had an experience of a lifetime that I I wouldn't, yeah, I didn't, I thought we were going to make a little film that we put up on the New York Times page, not, finding out one day, oh, hi, CNN's going to air your film. It's like, what? Which was cool. I'm sorry. That was pretty cool to see my name on the TV like that. That was neat.
If that was me, like just seeing my name on the TV, I think I don't even know what my emotion would be at that point. I think I'd be a mix of like jumping up and down, but also like, oh my fucking God, what the fuck is this? I'd never, what?
It was wild. It was so wild because prior to everybody knowing about it, and we had to watch, a little, cut of it that they had sent us for approval, and seeing the logo on the screen, I was like, think what you will of CNN, but as a first time filmmaker, it was like, whoa, whoa, this is wild. But for me, what really brought me to tears, and every time I've seen the film, no matter in a movie theater or what have you, my brother was in a band, and they allowed us to use one of their songs as the theme. And the way that the film ended on CNN specific, they allowed a certain number of credits to go. And so my brother's music was there. And even now I'm getting goosies, but that to me was cool. It was like, it's my brother's band. Nice.
Excellent. So moving on
Yeah.
from no responders, let's talk about one of your newest things, Holler and Wine.
Yeah.
I remember seeing this advertised and thinking, what? Wait, what? And then I
Mhm.
kind of, because I remember seeing it on Instagram going, wait, hang on a minute, what is this?
Yeah.
And then as I've kind of listened to some of them, I'm like, oh, okay, this is fun. So how did
It's
that come
it's
around?
it's good chatter. So this came from my my dear friend Simone Holder, who's a comic from Ottawa. We were talking about something on I don't know what it was on what socials, but I was like, I really want to have a podcast called Bitchin'. Because we're ladies of a certain age, and she's a couple years wiser than I. But I thought, we have shit we're going through. We should have a podcast called Bitchin'. Because I really like saying bitchin'. Because I grew up in the 80s, and that was like a way of saying something was cool and just something to complain about. Um, about 70 other people have decided that they should have a podcast called Bitchin'. So that didn't pass the mustard. But in talking to my team at Tape Deck Media, Dan specific, we were like rolling around ideas, and Holler and Wine kind of came out, but wine spelled WHINE. So it's the idea of just having a chat about whatever is bugging you or you're curious about, then intertwined with these very simple questions that can lead to very interesting answers, like, what was your first alcoholic drink? And if you could describe your previous week in a cocktail, what would the cocktail be? And it's interesting how it can like steer a chat and bring up something like on the second episode, my friend Matt Ardill, through talking about like early alcoholic experiences, was like, I hitchhiked as a toddler. And I was like, what? So it's fun. I really just give my guests those questions, and then I let them know that we're going to do a tarot card reading at the end,
Oh wow.
and we just talk, and it's fun. We just talk. So
I mean, it definitely like kind of shifts what podcasts are kind of are now, because I feel like not just with 2020 was it the year of baking, so to speak,
yes,
it was also the year of the podcast at the same time. It
yes,
felt like 2020, everyone went, you know what, fuck it, we got fuck all else to do, we're gonna do a podcast.
yes. About what was that show, Tiger King?
Oh god, don't get me on. Oh.
Oh, you know what, Kim? You know what I'm really proud of? I mean, I'm proud of a lot of things, but I really hold my head up high that I made it through pandemic lockdown. I have never seen an episode of Tiger King.
Okay, we're both on the
One.
same page here.
Number two, I do not own an air fryer. I
What?
don't, and it's not happening. And three, I have never made a sourdough starter.
What the fuck? Okay, so the first two, okay, well, first one, we're on the same boat. Air fryer, I have one.
I've
I
heard
have,
they're great. I'm never buying
they're
one.
great. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I like my air fryer. It's just, yeah. But the third one, I'm like, no, I've never done that either.
No, everyone was making sourdough starters.
Everyone
I
was
made
just
focaccia.
baking.
I made focaccia. I'm very good at a pretzel focaccia, and it's fun to say focaccia.
Trying to think what if I could sum up 2020 for me, what it was mostly ranting on Zoom, making people in different countries laugh, and a lot of mental breakdowns.
Oh, so many mental breakdowns. So many. Because I'm an OG anxiety girl. Like I had my first panic attack at 9. So I'm like, I've been doing this for years. But um it got bad. It got bad some days. Um and I was very grateful to friends near and far that I could be like, you're up. Can I talk to you about I think I'm dying? And I wasn't, but I was just panicking.
Mm.
But I was grateful to that because yeah, it was like I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening. Yeah, yeah. I became a fan of BTS during the pandemic.
Mm.
Um, I don't know why, but I really like them. And I rewatched Frasier about 97,000 times.
Jesus
The TV
Christ.
show.
How much spare time did you have?
There was a lot. Because like Toronto, the restrictions here were pretty brutal. They were pretty brutal. You basically had a note, to leave your apartment to say like, I'm going to the grocery store for 10 minutes and then I'm going back home. You really couldn't leave your place.
That's like having a hall pass kind of thing. That's what it
Kind of,
reminds me of.
yeah. Kind of, yeah. And in my hometown of Montreal in Quebec, they even had um checkpoints between communities. You could not go from one neighborhood to another.
Oh my
No.
God.
Which they started doing in Toronto. I feel like in 2021 we had a bit of that. Um, but it was hard. I mean,
Mm.
anybody that I engaged with when they allowed us to socialize on like restaurant patios and things like that. I had been seeing a guy at the time that we decided, okay, we're going to be the people that we, have some sexy times with because oh my God, we need to. Um, but I remember, seeing Mark and it was like I just saw like numbers like, The Matrix or A Beautiful Mind. I was like, where have you been? Who have you been with? Who have you been talking to? What may you be sick with? It was like it was so hard.
Oh my God. Like it's crazy. And then we look back at it now, like over 4 years later, which still in my mind, I'm like, what the hell? How's it been 4 years? What is going on? Like
Yeah.
I was 18 months into my comedy journey when everything shut down. And here I am almost coming up to my 6th year. Yeah, 6th in
Mhm,
July. And it's
mhm.
like I even joke in my stand-up. I even joke about I've been doing this 6 years. If you think your last 6 years have been rough, let me tell you about mine. Let me tell you about mine. I thought I was a
Yeah.
failure. A lockdown happens. That's the end of the story.
Do you think that, and I mean, the chances are pretty good just looking at how history is that we're gonna go through something like this again.
Yeah,
Do you
it's
think
this
you're gonna
thing.
be better prepared? I still think it's gonna fuck me up.
So the thing that makes it funny is how do I say this? There's a bit of like a age difference here. So there's two different ways of how people will deal with it. So I reckon
Yeah.
maybe people my age looking at it, we all thought COVID wasn't going to happen. We thought it was a joke. I feel like this time around we'll kind of take it more seriously and we'll actually listen to people. I feel.
I hope so because like eh, I mean, certainly a lot of people didn't. I know when it started and I was still working and I was like, it was really getting to me because I was working in a restaurant. I was like, should I be around? Any like what's happening? Um, but yeah, it's I don't know. Like I certainly at the start of it, I was looking back over like, what was going on in Toronto during the Spanish flu in 1918.
Mm.
And it was wild how so many of the advice was still the fucking same thing. It was like it was
It is
still the same
interesting.
kind of stuff.
Like
Yeah.
yeah, it's
So
interesting to look at history wise whether we'll go through something like this again. And I can already hear the keyboards tapping of
oh,
no,
we
it won't happen
will.
again. It's like
We
it's gonna happen
absolutely will.
again. Look at the
Yeah.
history books. Like
Yeah, we
literally,
will.
this is a tiny rant here. Look at the history books. Or every time there's always been one event that's happened, and they're like, oh yeah, it'll never happen again. Perfect example, the Spanish flu, 1918. What happens then? 102 years later, essentially.
Well, people were still getting sick from it up until the 50s. It just, the variant weakened. So, um, but yeah, it's just like it's gonna fucking I mean, we're wearing scrunchies again. It's like
Fuck me. Here we go. Okay, so
I
we're
never
gonna
Kim, I was like, never again. I made it through the 80s. I'm not wearing a scrunch. I have like 7 scrunchies.
Jesus
So
Christ. Yeah.
if
I
snap bracelets come back, then
oh
we're fucked.
wait. They technically
Do you
already
remember those?
yeah.
Yeah. How old were you when the snap bracelet was a thing? Like,
Um Probably about somewhere between the age of 10 and
I
15,
was gonna say
somewhere about
10, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they were cool. I thought,
Don't get
"Oh,
me
this is
wrong.
fun."
Okay, they
No,
were cool until people started hitting you with them. Then it was fun. Then the fun just
yeah.
went away.
My
Um
favorite one I had was a Simpsons one.
Trying to think what one I had.
That was my favorite
I
one.
think I had someone made me a custom one once. I think it was my mum, and she made me
Mm,
one that had if you've seen the chocolate bar Freddo, like just a
yeah,
little Freddo frog on it all the way around. And I just remember looking at it going, oh, this is fun. And also, I'm not wearing this
yeah.
to school. I'm not wearing this. So also moving
Yeah.
on with where is it? There it is. Oh, okay, there we go.
Mhm.
um let's talk about the sugar and spice and Smirnoff Ice thing. How
Yeah.
did that come around?
My album, Sugar and Spice and Smirnoff Ice. Um, so that was going back to Miss Desiree Walsh. I kind of have to thank her for that because we were approached by a mutual friend, Dan Rosen, Toronto comic, who was seeing all the momentum that we were doing online and was like, why don't we record an online comedy album and release that? Because it was very much of the moment. And we were, we were doing a lot of road work. I mean, virtual road work.
Yeah.
Desiree doing many more shows than me. So we did the Zoom recording and it was super fun. It was so much fun to do. But because of the technical glitches of this medium, it was very hard for our audio engineer, Matt, to match what we were saying and the laughter and have it sync nicely. It
Mhm.
just sounded really weird, but it was a great idea. The idea of it was great. So, we had some folks from the record label Howl and Roar in on the virtual show, and then they offered to do it actually in person with an audience when life allowed. And so Desiree was the first one that they picked to record with. And then she was like, if I do a recording, I want Kelly at the recording. So she kind of fast tracked that for me. So I'm very grateful to her.
Of course.
So yeah, we recorded it in the summer of 22. And I was 72 hours after regaining my voice from having COVID. So my voice is deeper on the album, which is fun. Um, but yeah, Desiree and I both got COVID like a month before the album recorded, and I was the one who lost her voice fully, and then I didn't know if I could actually do an album. So if you listen to the album along with laughing, you'll be like, "Who's that deep voice comedian?"
Oh, brilliant. So obviously you did an album. Are there any plans for a Kelly Zemnickis solo show at any point?
Yes, that is my
Mm.
goal for 2025 to do a one woman show.
Excellent.
No,
I'm gonna somehow see that one way or
yeah,
another. Um,
yeah. I need to make use of the fact that I'm a dual citizen with the UK. I have to do shows over there. I never have. But I am a dual citizen because my mom got me my passport before I
that's
was
what's funny.
16.
Like, so me and Kelly run a show every so often. Well,
Yeah.
and it leads into a funny question actually. With the question actually,
Yeah.
obviously, for those who've not seen the Hot Mic or Thursday show,
Hmm.
how would you describe it in one word?
It's a mic. It's a mic.
It's something.
It's the beauty of a bar mic at a downtown basement on your computer.
Thanks
It can
to
be
me.
good, it can be weird. But I like the fact that, I keep these virtual things going, be it the Thursday show or, the Uncrustables. I just For me, it's like, we've always heard all the world's a stage. So let's make all the world's a stage. Let's use all these. I mean, I was fucking doing mics on Clubhouse,
Yep,
that audio app, which was like so weird, but I was doing it because you never know who's going to hear you. And that's just certainly just how I approach things of like, I don't know who's going to find things. Like 5 people saw that tweet. I made a documentary.
of course.
So yeah,
I think
yeah,
yeah. I think with the Thursday show, it's just if I would describe it in one word, I think it would be unpredictable because we've done it week in,
yeah.
week out. One week will be absolutely chaotic, and then the next week it will be like as if like a toddler has just been kind of told you have to behave.
But
It
that's
goes
comedy, right?
it's amazing, but also I think for me the question really is what's been your favorite moment of that show? For me, it has to be the lobster thing. And the lobster thing,
Yeah, I
so
had
the
a
lobster
camera
thing,
issue.
and also the little competition that went on for a while of who can get the worst photos of the show.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, Yeah, I love it when people take pictures of things and don't tell you until they're posted. It's like, great,
I
thanks.
think I've only ever been told once during from a Zoom show, but prior going, if you're going to get any pictures, can you at least let me know? And it's
Well, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
I think that's a good rule of thumb. Um, what's been my favorite part of it? I I just genuinely enjoy either, especially when you don't see someone that you did like show after show after show with in 2020, and
mm,
then someone comes in that you haven't seen in a minute. I genuinely love that. It's like, hey. Because I remember when I started doing virtual mics and I was recognizing people, I felt like I was in like a
yeah.
brick and mortar space. I'm like, oh, I know you. I did a show with you. And it's like, so that's kind of cool stuff. I like moments like that, when someone you haven't seen in a bit, it's like cheers.
I think also what's been kind of a running joke now with that show is
Mm.
how long does it take Kim to pronounce one person's name? Have you that? So the longest so far has been 5 minutes.
Okay.
5 minutes, and it's just a whole 5 minutes of me going, this next comment, no, 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 no. The next comment, no, no, no. And it's just become a thing now of like
Yeah.
deliberately said person, they know who they
Yeah.
are, they know who they are, will
Well,
book the show just to piss me off.
yeah. Yeah, I guess so. Hi, Srila. But yeah, no, like we're no matter what city you're in, you're gonna get, if you're hosting a show, you're gonna get a name that might trip you up. And also I think it just goes to show that we do shows with folks, and I know who you are, I know your name. I've actually never said your full name out loud ever until the moment I'm introducing you, and you practice and you practice, and then it comes the time and you're like, oh, bleh. Yeah, I know.
It's one of those things where like I say, Zoom comedy has been a blessing that I never thought I needed. Thanks to Zoom,
Yeah.
I was able to create, the Carnage. I was also able to create my first solo show in 2021.
Hmm.
Talk too much, stay too long, which is partly a true fact because I do and I should. And then obviously this year I've got my second solo show,
Yeah,
Enigma, which has kind of been a thing of mainly the Thursday show. A lot of my sets from that have kind of been
that's cool.
combined together, but at the same time, without giving too much away, because it is opening at Fringe this week. Um,
That's great.
it's kind of this thing of like, I'm kind of trying to tell this story of to everything. I'm basically trying to work out whether there's the Enigma code to stand up comedy.
Mm,
And throughout the show, audiences will go through a journey of how I got to this point in comedy, as well as
right.
trying to work out, is there a way to be a successful comic? Because in
Mm,
when I started out, I always thought that there's only one way to be a successful comedian. But as I've done it over the last few years, it's
mhm.
never simply one way. Um,
There's no one way to do anything.
exactly. But for years I
There
thought
isn't.
that. For years I thought there's only one way. Like you got to do this many gigs, and then you got to meet this person, and then you've got to
Yeah.
hopefully end up in the right place at the right time. But
So much is luck. I
yeah,
mean, there's a lot of hard work to it, but so much is luck. And I think a lot of it is taking moments to like refuel and get new material and experience things in life, good and bad. But yeah, I don't think
and
there's
obviously, you know, finally before we go on to like
Mhm.
promoting socials, let's
Mhm.
talk about Order Up. Let's talk about
Yeah, so that's another podcast that I have, along with Carrie Haim and Mary Kennedy and Matt Ardill, all folks that connected uh, during the pandemic. So people I did not know prior to the world stopping in 2020. And that's just a fun food chat where we ask questions like, is cereal soup.
All
You
right.
know, there we go. We bring on people, and we've had like a really great array of like award-winning authors to Food Network chefs to writers for SNL, and we're like amazing accolades, love you lots, is a hamburger, a sandwich, so
Amazing.
it's fun, and it's great to do that kind of shit. And if folks find me on Instagram under the Latvian foodie, you can get a link to all the podcasts and the baking shows and all that stuff. But I like having silly light banter because the world is so heavy. And I do like finding the good in a day because it does exist despite what we're all going through, which seems to be nonstop. Um, but yeah, that's just me. I'm just, Python saying always look on the bright side of life. And I took that to heart. So
Of course. And obviously, a question I have is you've done Zoom comedy with a lot of comedians.
yeah.
Who's given you your favorite joke on Zoom?
There are so many things that have come out of Pardis Parker's mouth that have just killed me.
I have to agree with
He's
you on
got
that.
this joke about how there's this city in Canada called Surrey, and just the population of Indian Asian population out there. So just and Canadians need to say sorry, and so I go find it because he tells it so well. But this whole Surrey, sorry, just
I think I
I
remember
love
seeing
it.
him do that bit once, and it just sent me into hysterics as well.
Yeah,
I think for
he
me,
he made me snort today. We were doing a virtual mic together, and he made me laugh that I snorted. So
trying to think
I'm a
who's
fan. I'm a fan.
yeah, I'm trying to think who's. I think a comedian I have to give a shout out to is Lloyd Legacy Sharp.
Oh, he's
He's
great
one of the most supportive people that I've met. And
and funny.
he's
Supportive and
funny as
funny.
anything. Like
Yeah.
anyone who hasn't seen Lloyd, go check out his stuff,
Yeah.
especially on TikTok.
Oh, okay.
His stuff is brilliant. But the joke that keeps getting me currently, there's two jokes he has. The first one is where he's like, I'm just asking questions. That bit just sends me into hysterics. I even messaged him last night saying, how the hell did you come up with that? And I'm kind of jealous it's in his set. I'm kind of jealous. And then the other one is where he's like, I'm trying to quote it right, but it's like, I sound something to make you listen. Like, so he jokes about like his race. And it's just funny.
Yeah.
It just sends me into hysterics all the time. I can't do that joke
Yeah.
justice for
Yeah.
obvious reason.
Right. Yeah.
For
We're pretty
obvious reasons.
white.
Yeah, I'm pretty white. But Lloyd is just absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
Lloyd has also just been so supportive. And honestly, if there's any comedians listening to this who, maybe going through like a tough time, definitely get in contact with Lloyd because Lloyd is just a
Yeah.
brilliant guy to vent at.
Yeah. There's a lot of good eggs out there. Like it's been, this weird collective experience that we've went through. And it's nice that we have certain friends that we can, continue to message and be like, yep. Here's what's going on. And yeah, I'm certainly not grateful for what led us to how we connected, but I'm grateful that we all did. So, it's again finding that upside to shitty situations. So, yeah.
Of course. Now, on to
Yeah.
the bit everyone loves, it's self-promotion. So
Right.
where can people find you and what gigs have you got coming up?
Coming up, I'm going to be, if you're in Toronto on May 17th, or is it May 18th? Oh my God, to show with Paul Hutchison, this wonderful storytime show I'm doing in Toronto. And on May 24th, I've got my monthly show at Bloom Bar studio called Comedy Cabernet. So if you're in the Toronto area, please do see that. You can find me, as I say, on Instagram at the Latvian Foodie. And I'm pretty good about frequently promoting what I'm doing virtually or in person. And if you're in Seattle and this is going to be airing, by the weekend, my film Janelle Niles' Inconvenient is at the Seattle International Film Festival. And it's screening on Saturday, May 11th. And if you're not, just go back in time and go see it then. And Instagram, the Latvian Foodie, and on YouTube and Facebook, Kelly Zemnickis.
Of course. And for me, oh God, here we go.
Mhm.
So if you are in the UK, which some of you may be, if you're listening, main thing to promote is on the 10th, 14th and 18th of May, I will be up at the Brighton Fringe Festival with my solo show, Enigma. I will be teaming up with a fellow UK comic as we present double bill comedy, 2 shows, 1 hour. And also on 17th, 27th, 28th, and June 1st and 2nd, I will also be running Reckless Comedy Hot Picks, which will be a showcase from the Fringe featuring loads of acts who are being a part of the Fringe Festival. It's looking to be a really fun lineup, but mainly please come see Enigma so I know it's good. Mainly. Both shows
Download my album.
Yeah, download your album. Both of those shows are pay what you want. So if you don't like the show, you can just come in for free and just exit before I find you. Or you can give us money. You can give, I'd say that with the other comedian, not no.
That would be a good name for a show, Kim. Exit
Just give me
before I
money.
find you. No, exit before I find you.
I mean, you did at one point on the Thursday show consider what my Netflix special name would be.
Oh, I love playing that game. That's a fun game.
It is. We need to bring it back.
It's a good game.
It is a good game. And for me, social media, you can mainly follow me on Instagram. Please don't follow me in the street. It's illegal, apparently.
Yeah, it's weird.
Apparently it is. I didn't know that. It is. Actually, I'm joking. Yeah, Instagram, you can find me at KNashStandup01. There you can find out all my theatre stuff, film stuff. And again, I'm promoting nearly everything I'm on there. And it's always a lot of fun. I am on Twitter. X. It's always going to be Twitter. Don't come at me.
Too.
It's Twitter.
I'm calling it Twix, like Craig Ferguson calls it. Twix. It's better.
I love the chocolate bar Twix, so that's the thing.
Oh, it's good in a coffee as a stir stick because then it melts in the coffee.
Yes.
Conan O'Brien said that on his podcast, and I did it, and my life changed.
Wow, I love the name drops in this one.
It's good.
We're just waiting for Conan to come on. He won't return my calls.
I have an ancestor. I posted on my Instagram. I have an ancestor who looks like Conan O'Brien, and I did a comparison. And I would like Conan to say something because I think I'm right. Yeah.
But yeah, this has been a really fun episode. Those listening at home, if you are watching this on the Reckless Comedy Podcast YouTube channel, make sure to give us a like and subscribe. If you are listening to us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, which is apparently shutting down,
going away, which is stupid because it's great.
It's great, and it's better than Apple. But yeah, if you're listening to us on podcasting websites, leave us a review. Let us know what you thought, or like the last comment on there, can Kim stop rambling? You know it's bad when your mum is just leaving a review on your own podcast.
Mum heckles are the best heckles.
Mum heckles are the best. That's why I don't invite her to my comedy shows anymore. But yeah, this has been season 3, episode 7. Make sure to follow Kelly on all her socials. And until next time, this has been the podcast. Don't know when the next one is. Somewhen in the future. But until then, I'll see you on the flip side.